Ladies and gentlemen, gather close, if you will. Let the screen of your imagination light up, not with mere words, but with the vibrant colors and dynamic energy of a Korean anime. For we are about to recount the tale of a man whose life was not just lived, it was animated. A story of passion, perseverance, and power. This is the complete life story of the one and only Song Chiyul. Our story begins not with a bang, but with a quiet, determined breath. Picture the opening scene of a new season. A young man, our protagonist, in a humble, unremarkable setting. He isn't the chosen one from a prophecy, he doesn't have a mysterious, overpowered lineage, at least, not yet. He is simply Song Chiyul, a soul with a fire in his heart and a dream that seemed too big for his small world. This, my friends, is the episode 1 inch of his life, the calm before the beautiful, chaotic storm. Imagine the screen fading in from black, not to a dramatic, storm-lashed battlefield, but to the soft, golden light of a late afternoon sun filtering through the window of a small, modest room. This is our first establishing shot, and the soundtrack isn't a pounding orchestral score, but the gentle, almost melancholic strum of a single acoustic guitar, the kind of opening that promises a slow burn story about to steal your heart. This is where we meet our protagonist, Song Chiyul, in what the anime community would lovingly call the slice of life arc. He isn't draped in legendary robes or sporting a mysterious, power-sealing tattoo. No, his uniform is simple, perhaps a slightly worn high school jacket or a plain sweatshirt. He's the character you might briefly see in the background of a crowded hallway in the first episode, the one you wouldn't look at twice. His world is painted in the ordinary, relatable hues of daily Korean life, the rhythmic clatter of the train on his morning commute, the shared, comfortable silence of a family dinner, the predictable routine that makes days blend into weeks. He's the boy with a kind smile who helps at his family's small restaurant after school, the one who is reliable, quiet, and unremarkably normal. But just like the most masterful anime character studies, the true magic lies beneath the surface. The director, in this case, fate itself, loves to use subtle visual cues for those watching closely. Notice how, when he thinks no one is looking, his gaze lingers on the soaring flight of a bird, a flicker of restless yearning in his eyes. See how his hands, which calmly wipe down tables or carry books, sometimes unconsciously curl into fists, as if grasping for something just beyond his reach. These are the saga moments of his soul, brief, beautifully animated flashes of depth in an otherwise still pond. He carries a quiet intensity, a feeling of being a puzzle piece forced into the wrong box. He doesn't quite fit, and that subtle dissonance is the first whisper of his epic tale. His challenges aren't monstrous demons or evil organizations, not yet. They are the all-too-human antagonists of a coming-of-age story. There's the shadow of expectation, the pressure to follow a safe, preordained path laid out by well-meaning but worried parents. There's the subtle dismissal from his more successful peers, who see his quiet nature as a lack of ambition. And most importantly, there's the internal villain of his own doubt, that nagging voice in his head that whispers, "Who are you to dream so big? Stay in your lane. This comfortable, ordinary life is all you are meant for." This entire phase of his life is the calm before the storm, a trope we all know and love. But in Korean anime, this calm isn't just empty waiting, it's essential world building for the heart. We see him share a warm, joking text conversation with his one loyal friend, the comedic relief character who will undoubtedly stick by his side through the coming chaos. We see him show a small act of kindness to an elderly neighbor, a scene that seems inconsequential but is actually laying the foundation for his core philosophy, an innate desire to protect the small, good things in the world. We are learning to care for him not as a future hero, but as a person. This is the crucial foundation of every legendary journey. Before the flashy special moves, before the fateful encounters, there is a boy. A boy who feels out of place in his own skin, who stares at the horizon with a heart full of questions, and whose greatest battle is simply believing that he is meant for more than the quiet, predictable story he's currently living. We, the audience, are positioned right beside him, in these quiet, humble moments. We are made to understand the texture of his ordinary world so that when it is inevitably shattered, when the mentor appears, when the call to adventure comes, when the first spark of his latent power finally ignites, we feel the seismic shift not just in the plot, but in our very bones. We understand exactly what he is leaving behind, and the incredible courage it takes for an ordinary boy to take that first, trembling step into an extraordinary destiny. Picture this. Our hero's world has been established in soft, pastel tones, a comfortable but confining bubble of routine. Then, the animation style subtly shifts. The colors seem to deepen, the lines become sharper, and a new, unfamiliar track, something with a slow, haunting cello or a distant, echoing traditional flute, begins to weave its way into the soundtrack. This is the atmospheric change that signals an arrival, the moment the script of Chiyul's life is about to be torn up and rewritten. He doesn't know it yet, but he is standing on the precipice of his inciting incident, the single most important, episode 3 inches twist where everything changes. The encounter is never by chance in these stories. It is fate, orchestrated with the precise drama of a master storyteller. Perhaps it happens under the weeping boughs of a ginkgo tree in a secluded park where Chiyul goes to clear his head, the yellow leaves falling around him like silent tears of the world itself. Or maybe it's in the dusty, silent aisles of a forgotten library, a place that smells of old paper and timeless secrets. The setting is always one that feels slightly detached from the modern, bustling world, a pocket dimension where magic and meaning can still exist. And into this scene walks the mentor. He isn't what you'd expect from a shonen archetype, he isn't necessarily a muscular old man in a GI. He could be elegant and sharp-suited, like a character from Noblesse, carrying an air of ancient, untouchable nobility. Or he could be deceptively casual, with a tired-eyed, world-weary demeanor that hides a storm of power, much like a protagonist from The Breaker. His age is ambiguous, his eyes hold galaxies of experience, and when he moves, it's with an unnatural, fluid grace that seems to defy the very laws of physics, a constant, subtle reminder that he is not of Chiyul's ordinary world. The first interaction is never about a grand speech. It's a glance, a single, piercing look across a crowded street or a quiet room that lasts a fraction of a second but feels like an eternity. In that look, Chiyul doesn't feel judged, he feels seen. Truly seen, for the first time in his life. It's as if this stranger is looking past the nervous high school student, past the dutiful son, and straight into the raw, untapped potential that even Chiyul himself only felt in his most private dreams. The mentor's words, when they come, are not a booming declaration. They are quiet, measured, and land with the weight of absolute truth. You carry a great shadow within you, boy, he might say, his voice calm yet cutting through the noise of the world like a blade. Or perhaps it's a simple, devastating question: do you ever feel that this world is too small for the size of your spirit? This is the call to adventure, and in the rich tradition of Korean anime, it is fraught with conflict. The mentor is never a kindly, Dumbledore-like figure offering gentle guidance. He is a catalyst, often a deliberately disruptive and challenging force. He doesn't promise glory, he promises pain, struggle, and unimaginable danger. He might openly mock Chiyul's comfortable life, calling it a gilded cage. He tests him, not with physical trials, but with psychological ones, shattering his naive worldviews and forcing him to question everything he thought he knew about strength, honor, and purpose. This figure is the personification of the path less traveled, and he makes it terrifyingly clear that once Chiyul takes this path, there is no going back. The comfortable, sun-drenched, slice of life, anime of his past would be irrevocably cancelled, replaced by a thrilling, high-stakes action drama. And here lies the crux of the entire keynote, Chiyul's choice. This is his true first act of heroism, far more significant than any future punch he will throw. It is the moment he looks at the safe, known shore of his old life, and then into the stormy, unknown ocean of his potential, and consciously, courageously, chooses the storm. He says, yes, that single word, whispered or determined, is the key turning the lock. It is the moment the opening credits would finally roll, the electric guitar of the main theme kicks in, and the title, The Legend of Song Chiyul, slam. Now, the screen explodes with motion. The gentle color palette of his old life is gone, replaced by the stark, high-contrast visuals of a brutal dawn. This is where the quiet melody of introspection is drowned out by the screaming guitar of effort and the relentless drumbeat of discipline. Welcome to the training arc, the beloved, painful, and absolutely essential heart of any legendary anime saga. This is not a single episode, this is an entire season dedicated to the beautiful, brutal process of a soul being reforged in fire and ice. The setting itself becomes a character. It's no longer a comfortable park or a quiet room. It's a hidden, sacred training ground, a dojo where the very air hums with latent energy, or a desolate mountain peak where the elements are both enemy and teacher. The first lesson is always one of utter humiliation. The mentor, who seemed so compelling in the city lights, now becomes an unforgiving drill sergeant. He doesn't offer praise, he points out flaws with surgical precision. The first time Chiyul attempts a basic stance, he's effortlessly swept off his feet. The first time he tries to channel his energy, he's thrown backward as if by an invisible force. This is the power scale revelation, a devastating and necessary demonstration of the chasm that lies between a talented novice and a true master. The initial goal is not to win, but simply to endure. To take the hit, get up, and brace for the next one. And then, the montage begins. But this isn't a quick, 30-second sequence set to an upbeat J-pop song. This is a grueling, episode-spanning ordeal that the animation studio lavishes with stunning, painful detail. We see Chiyul's body become a map of his struggle, etched with bruises, stained with sweat, and trembling with exhaustion. The training is multifaceted, attacking every weakness. His body is pushed beyond human limits under the weight of logs, the repetition of forms until his muscles scream, and sprints up endless stone staircases until his lungs burn. His mind is besieged with meditative trials, forced to confront illusory demons that prey on his deepest fears and insecurities. He must learn to quiet the voice of doubt that has haunted him since childhood and replace it with a core of unshakable focus. This is where we see the internal battle, given stunning visual form, perhaps as a dark, shadowy version of himself he must conquer within a psychic plane, a classic trope brought to life with breathtaking Korean animation. His relationship with his mentor deepens into something complex and profound. The harsh words begin to reveal a hidden layer of brutal care. A single, slight nod from the master after Chiyul finally executes a move correctly feels like a greater victory than any trophy. They are no longer just student and teacher, they are a linked chain, one end pulling the other toward a distant, glorious peak. And it is here that Chiyul's unique power begins to crystallize. It's not just about copying techniques. It's about innovation. In a moment of desperate inspiration during a sparring session, he combines two basic moves into something entirely new, a flicker of unexpected strategy that makes the mentor's eyes widen a fraction. This is the birth of his move, his signature technique. The animation for this moment is key, a sudden, slow-motion focus, a new visual effect, a unique sound design that signals this is something the world has never seen before. It's the divine revelation his soul was destined to discover. This arc is also punctuated by rivalries. He meets other students, some who become comrades, and others who become fierce competitors. These rivalries are the whetstones against which he sharpens his spirit. Through clashing with them, he learns not just about combat, but about honor, respect, and the different forms strength can take. The training arc is the crucible where the last remnants of the ordinary boy are burned away. The uncertainty in his eyes is replaced with a fighter's sharp glint. The hesitant posture becomes the grounded, unshakable stance of a warrior. He is being stripped down to his essential components and rebuilt, piece by piece, into the legend he was always meant to become. He is no longer just learning to fight, he is learning to win. This is it, the moment the entire series has been building towards. The post-credit scene of the training arc fades to black, and we are thrust, heart first, into the storm. The animation budget has clearly been saved for this, because every frame is a masterpiece of tension and release. This is the climax, the saga-defining battle, but in the tradition of the greatest Korean anime, it is so much more than just a spectacular fight, it is the ultimate test of a philosophy, the final exam of the soul. The setting is never a simple arena. It is a place of profound symbolic weight. Perhaps the sacred peak where he trained, now defiled by the antagonist's presence. Or the heart of his own hometown, forcing him to protect the very ordinary world he once yearned to escape. The stakes are no longer personal, they are cosmic. The antagonist, the final boss, is a perfect dark mirror to Chiyul's own journey. This villain hasn't just trained, they have twisted their power, often born from a similar pain or loss, but choosing domination over protection, cynicism over hope. Their power is a corrosive, terrifying force, animated with slick, oily darkness that threatens to smother the screen itself. They don't just want to defeat Chiyul physically, they want to break his spirit, to prove that his hard-won ideals of honor and sacrifice are a fool's fantasy in a cruel world. The battle begins, and it is a symphony of animated chaos. It's not a single, linear brawl but a dynamic, evolving confrontation that pushes the very limits of the medium. The fight choreography is a breathtaking dance, seamlessly blending the supernatural with grounded, impactful martial arts. We see the classic transformation sequence, but it's not just a power-up, it's a visual manifestation of his fully realized self. The energy that once flickered uncertainly around his fists now erupts in a brilliant, stable aura, a unique color and form that is uniquely his. This is where he unleashes the ultimate technique born in the training arc, but now perfected, its true, devastatingly beautiful form finally revealed. The sound design drops out, leaving only the tense hum of power, the sharp intake of breath, before erupting in a cataclysm of light and sound. But the true victory is never just in the final, spectacular blow. It is in the choice he makes in that final moment. The villain, broken and defeated, reveals a sliver of their humanity, the wounded child that started them on this dark path. And here, at the pinnacle of his power, Chiyul is presented with a choice: utter annihilation, or difficult, painful mercy. He chooses the latter. He extends a hand, not in triumph, but in empathy. This single act is what cements his legend. It proves that his strength was never meant for destruction, but for salvation. He didn't just win the fight, he won the ideological argument at the heart of the entire series. And then, the world breathes. The epilogue begins, not with a bang, but with a quiet, profound peace. The animation softens, the colors returning to a new normal, brighter and more hopeful than before. We see the legacy of Song Chiyul not in statues or titles, but in the lives he continues to touch. The final scenes of his story are a mirror to the beginning, but now, he is the mentor. He is the calm, powerful presence guiding a new, wide-eyed generation. He is the wise voice in the council chambers, the teacher at the rebuilt academy, the legendary figure who occasionally appears to avert a crisis, his power now so refined it seems effortless. His personal story has ended, but it has become a new, episode 1 for countless others. His tale is the classic series that new characters reference, the old scrolls they study, the enduring legend that gives them hope. The screen fades to white, leaving us not with an ending, but with the beautiful, enduring truth that a truly complete life story is not one that ends, it is one that becomes a timeless source of inspiration, forever playing in the hearts of those who dare to dream.